Hey guys, so we are going to be doing creative writing from home this week. I'm going to do my best to do my lessons using my videos that I will be posting. I'm also posting them on YouTube, so you can watch this from home if you want to. But let's go ahead and start with our lesson. First and foremost, when you guys do write your stories, you will save them in your manuscripts and I will read them next Monday or later this week, depending on when I get back. So just save them. Trust me, I will read them and correct them. But let's get started. Okay, so just to review, we talked about first person already. I'm going to read an example. It's the same story, just changed in different perspectives. So notice as I go through what words I'm using in first person. So first of all, I indented right here for my first line, so make sure you're still doing that. And then I used I. Remember, in first person, we use words like I and my and or our or we. So I went to the grocery store to buy some bread. Notice how the rest of my lines are not indented in the paragraph, so just keep that in mind, okay? On my way there, comma, I saw a storm rolling in, period. I called my friend Johnny and said, comma, remember before we use dialogue, we use a comma after the word said, quotation mark, hey, have you seen this storm? Then I put a question mark and then a quotation mark after that to show that they are done talking, or I should say I am done talking, okay? Also, notice one more thing. When I am saying a person's name, I called my friend Johnny. I'm going to put a comma before his name and after his name, just to take a pause to say, hey, reader, this is my character's name, by the way. Take note of that, Johnny. All right, so just keep that in mind for future reference, okay? Now, I am done talking, so now it is Johnny's turn to speak. So that's why I'm going to start a new paragraph, indented, quotation mark, I have, comma, quotation mark, said Johnny. So make a note, after I said the word said, I put a comma and then I wrote my dialogue, okay? But when someone else is speaking, they start with their dialogue first, okay? Like they start talking, I have, they put the comma right before the quotation mark and then they write the word said Johnny. Okay, so I don't expect you to write any dialogue today. I'm just reviewing. This is what you should hear. I and my in first person. Okay, so keep that in mind because this is going to be used in second person, just in a different way. All right, so I'll put that to the side. Let's talk about third person. Okay, so we have two different kinds, third person limited and omniscient. You guys should know by now that limited means you only know the perspective of the one character. Now, I'm going to change it because in my first person story, I am pretending I am this character named Luke. Okay, so in my third person, I'm going to use the character's name. I'm still indenting, so I would say Luke went to the grocery store to buy some bread. On his way there, he saw a storm rolling in. He called his friend Johnny, remember I used the commas, and said, comma, hey, have you seen this storm? Okay, now Johnny is done talking, so I start a new paragraph. I have, comma, said Johnny. He starts talking again, so I add another quote. I'm staying inside today, and then he's done talking. So the only difference between first person and third person limited is just the change of the I's and my's to the characters' names and he and his and those kind of words. Okay, so not much different. The only thing that we should take note of is we only know what the character knows. So we have to give information through dialogue and other tricks. Now, but let's talk about omniscient because this one, the characters are all present in the story. That means all the narrator knows everything going on. So we have this character named Luke, so I indent. Luke went to the grocery store to buy some bread. His friend Johnny, so I'm already talking about Johnny in this paragraph, stayed home to watch the Weather Channel. Okay, so that's something that we didn't know in this part. We only know what Luke knows. So now we know what Johnny's doing, and Johnny is at home watching the Weather Channel. He had just heard the report when Luke called to tell him, hey, have you seen this storm? I have, said Johnny. I'm staying inside today. So we get both perspectives. We already know Johnny's on his way to the grocery store to buy some bread, so I don't have to say anything more about that. But I did want to give more information on what Luke was doing, and he's staying home and watching the Weather Channel, so I'm kind of focused on his perspective as well. So anyway, now we are going to move on to second person. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you guys can see what I'm doing. And second person is going to be a combination of I's and you's, okay? You are going to be addressing the reader. Now, we don't do this a lot, especially in fictional stories, okay? Fictional stories are about things that are made up, but in a second person writing, you guys are going to actually be talking to the reader as yourself. Okay, so there won't be any dialogue whatsoever, all right? It's a real conversation between you and who's reading it. Majority of the time, these are blogs, okay? Like how to do something kind of blogs. And I see this a lot like for recipes and such. So you just watched a video about a woman who is talking to you about herself and her experience making gingerbread houses with her family. And she uses her grandmother's recipe. So what I want you to do today is you're going to be writing your own experience, like a made-up experience, because I'm going to have you guys specifically do gingerbread houses. But I won't have you do the gingerbread part because that has like 10 ingredients for the recipes, and that's just a lot of writing. But with the frosting, you only need 3 ingredients, and you're going to be describing how you decorate a gingerbread house. So this is my instruction. I'll say it again. You're going to write how to decorate a gingerbread house. So I'm going to get you started. Here's what I want you to do right now. If you haven't already, get out your manuscripts. You should have a pencil and eraser ready to go. So this is your starter, and I'm going to write this along with you. So I'm going to still indent, all right? And I'm going to write I want you to write this too. This is fictional for you. We're going to pretend here, but I want you guys to write what I write. So my grandma's gingerbread house. Then I'm going to go all the way to the side. Recipe is my favorite during, then I'm going to uppercase this word because it's the name of a holiday, Christmas time. And interestingly enough, Christmas time is one word. There's no space between them, so period, okay? Now, this is going to be my starting sentence. To give instructions, we're going to keep indenting as we go. So I'm going to write to make the frosting. Sorry if it's hard to see the spelling in my words. I tend to write a little fast and markers bleed the ink together. So you will need, and then I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to start another indented line. So when you're giving a list of ingredients, you want each list item to be on a separate line. So I'm going to write 1 cup of powdered sugar, 1/4 cup of milk, 10 drops of food coloring. Okay. So now that you have that list, I just want to make a note of something. Normally in your writing, I want you guys to spell out your numbers, but when it comes to recipes and measurements for this, you should always use the numbers as is, like this, okay? It's a lot easier to understand when you see the numbers. and you're less likely to make a mistake when you're doing the recipe. Now, this is where your next part comes in. If you guys remember how to do how to make a PB&J sort of thing, you need to be specific. But this is where you want to also connect with your reader. Like, notice how I put my grandma's gingerbread house recipe is my favorite during Christmas time. I am sharing my own opinions and my own interest and likes because I want to connect with a reader who will probably have that same connection. More likely, they're gonna want to do this recipe if they also like to make gingerbread houses during Christmas time with their family. So include those things. But remember, you are going to be addressing your reader. So I'm going to write in my list, first, comma, you will need, so notice how I wrote the word you. I'm addressing the reader. You will need to get a large bowl and a whisk. Oh, whisk is spelled like this. Awesome. Okay, so with that, I indented, but because that instruction is all together, I won't indent for the next line. But when you do the second part, so like second, you will add all your ingredients to the bowl, okay? You will indent that part right here, so second, and then just keep on going. Remember to be specific. Remember what was in the video. I don't expect it to be super perfect, but this is just a basic idea of what second person is all about. Again, you're not going to use it in any fictional stories or anything, unless you want to be super meta, but that's for when you guys get older or in college, and that's totally fine. But if you want to give instructions on something, this second person is the best perspective to use, and it's very simple. So be creative, be fun, have fun with it, and afterwards I do have a video about making gingerbread men if you guys want to see it. It's mostly for the little kids, but hey, I thought it'd be great to illustrate something for you if you guys want. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great Monday. I will see you guys as soon as I can. Anyway, be good for your teacher, and yeah, have a great Monday. Bye, friends.